Hi everyone, welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology. This is your weekly astrology reading for the week of August 20th to the 26th. And we have the sun moving into Virgo for our Virgo birthday friends. One of my favorite signs, actually. Well, they're all good. But also we're having Mercury go retrograde in Virgo. On the 23rd. Both of those happenings are on the 23rd. So anyway, let me swap out cameras here, bring you over my table, and get this going for you. Hold on. Okay, so we have Sunday's chart here, but an overarching theme this week I wanted to say right up front is that oh man, August is really good for getting a lot done because Mercury, besides Virgo, all this Virgo energy and in this grand Earth trine, from Jupiter, Uranus up to Pluto, it's really good for getting things done. It's not good if you're a dirty politician or a dirty judge because things are coming out more and more. The facts are coming out. But for the rest of us, it's really an excellent time to finish things up, to dig deeper into the details, and especially as Mars is moving forward in this last 4 degrees before it moves into Libra, which won't happen until next week. That'll happen on August 27th. But it's right there. Everything will be so much more, balanced, I guess is the best word I could say with Libra, and maybe feeling more like justice is coming and equality, but most of all, balance and justice is a major Libra trait. But meanwhile, so we have that with the moon going on today and the next day, but meanwhile, we have to remember that we're going to have 7 planets, I think. Well, actually, I think it's 5 planets, and Chiron isn't considered a planet; it's a centaur, and Eris is a dwarf planet. These are already retrograde. Okay, let's count up the retrogrades right now. We already have the nodes don't count. Pluto, Saturn, Neptune. Chiron, can't really say it's a planet. We could say Eris she's a dwarf planet, just like Pluto. Very powerful, these two. And Venus is retrograde, so wow. Mercury will go retrograde the 23rd. So this is the last few days of getting a lot done quickly. But it's really good for planning. So my overall arcing theme for this week is I wanted to let you guys know to get as much done as you can, but in a balanced way so that it doesn't stress your body out. And then make some plans for once Mercury goes retrograde and we have all these other planets retrograde, to do your inner healing work, because that will shift everything for the future. And that's why we have these retrogradations, especially of the outer transpersonal planets, Pluto, Neptune. I'll just include Chiron and Eris in there, and Uranus and Jupiter are direct, so we can't include that one. But Uranus is going to keep clocking forward, bringing through the information that could be shocking to some people who were making money in the dirty ways, and they're finally caught. And maybe some rules will come down and smack them, where they need to be smacked. Make them pay. That's the only thing that hurts them. But the main thing is, it's just if we can plan ahead for our own internal time that will be coming up, whether we like it or not, it'll be that much better. And we can really make some deep inroads to bringing through who we truly are. We have to get in touch with who we truly are. We have to be willing to do that deeper work of feeling all of our feelings, not being afraid of our feelings, clearing things out, searching for all those false beliefs that keep us spinning in the wrong directions, or keep us distracted, I should say, and spinning in the vicious circles. Yeah. Going for the fun, going for the joy, going for happiness. Those are all the things that humans are meant to do, but we have so much, so many little, not little, but so many issues from when we were little, I guess would be the best way to say it. And we can't really blame our parents because, we do have to name it, but they received their wounding from their parents and back and back and back, so it doesn't do any good. The best way to deal with anything is the buck stops here and take full self-responsibility. And that is precisely what Pluto squaring the nodes is all about, right? When the nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio, it was all about taking responsibility for our money and how we spend it and who we share it with. And now with the nodes in Aries and Libra, Aries is about action and moving forward. It's ruled by Mars. And then the South Node in Libra is ruled by Venus, but Libra is all about justice and equality. So we're taking actions, and the legal system is taking actions to move forward in ways that are very protective, which we have here with Jupiter and Taurus coming in, and I'm getting major chills on that one. So I think that it's a good time to trust that the forces of equality and balance are working. Forces of justice are working hard behind the scenes. So anyway, let's... I think I'll skip all the dates about the overview because I give those every week, and I'll just keep it up. I'll keep letting you know when something's going to happen a week or so ahead of time at least. So, but there is one thing I will say this because it's worth repeating over and over. Pluto up here in Capricorn, which has everything to do with people who are in positions of power. Pluto is power. In Capricorn, and retrograde no less, and it'll get all the way back to like 27, I think, before it goes direct. But anyway, it's going to be in Capricorn until January 21st of 2024. And then it'll pop into Aquarius for a little bit, but then from September 1st, 2024 until it gets back into Aquarius, it's still not going to stay completely in Aquarius until November 19th of 2024. And then we'll have 20 years, it'll go to 2044 in Aquarius. So we are at this pivotal point in history. Saturn, or Capricorn, is ruled by Saturn. Saturn rules the government. People in power with the government are being watched. They've been observed for quite some time, and it's time for new rules, new laws that govern these people in these powerful positions. We are supposed to remember that. I woke up hearing that this morning. I woke up hearing 77 years ago, and I'm like, oh, damn! I guess I've got to read. I've got to read Lincoln's Gettysburg Address again. And what struck me was, the for the people, the government that works for the people was the gist of, and I'm sure you guys know those other 4 lines, but it's we the people. And that is everything, that has everything to do with Pluto moving into Aquarius. And we had that first little dip for a while, but the transformation of humanity and the power of the people is what we can look forward to, but we will be weeding out the people who think that they're above it all, the people who don't care about humanity, the people who don't care about the planet. And it's that part is challenging. So we have to keep fighting. I guess you could say the good fight, or like John Lewis has always, what was it? Get into some good trouble. So anyway, let's look at some of these aspects that are really strong today. One thing that keeps drawing my attention, besides the grand Earth trine that I talked about last week, but notice that we have this, so the point here to Neptune, and then we have this in conjunct here, the South Node, and another in conjunct to the Sun. So we've got, the Sun is exactly in conjunct Neptune. With that in conjunct there, and then the South Node in Libra, what we have going on are adjustments that people are going to be making as to what happened in the past, who did what the truth is, relationship issues, any type of an issue that could bring through the feelings of not being treated fairly is up for healing, and there's source energy to guide you in that. But if there's someone trying to pull the wool over your eyes, we do have Neptune's retrograde in Pisces. So if there's any of this victim mentality being pushed out there especially from people who are have some court dates, I should say, scheduled, whether they like it or not, those things are going to be happening. And meanwhile, they're going to be fighting because of Pluto squaring the nodes. Excuse me. The fight is going to be to try to get people on their side, and they are going to be lying their faces off. So don't forget that. Just keep remembering that truth versus lies is on the table here. And then the Sun, with this in conjunct, the Sun at 27 degrees starting off at 5 a.m. in the morning on Sunday. The Sun is there shining a spotlight. It's helping us to focus in on something. We are made aware of some facts and truth, and it's out there. It's something is brought to our attention, and maybe not for us because we're used to looking at it that way, but maybe for some others, it's like, oh man, I didn't know that. Now, the Sun is also, and especially in Leo, is known for a person's vocation, their purpose in life, their core purpose. It's also that core energy that usually comes through leaders and people in authority. So we could say one way to read this is people in authority who've been, now with Leo, I'm going to just say, the narcissistic side of it, which is not true not true at all for most Leos, but there are some, and having to make that adjustment because the lies aren't working anymore on the people. And with this, so this is an aspect of the architect here. I'm sorry, what am I saying? This is a yod here. We have the aspect, I'll talk about that. But we have a yod here, and at one end of the yod, so yod is a finger of fate, finger of God. I say let's be your own God in your own life and do what's right by you. But with this sextile at the one end, a sextile always brings through an opportunity. So the opportunity is to shine a light on the past, okay, and not be dissuaded, to not be lied to not have the wool pulled over your eyes, to not follow a cult leader, and all things are pointing to, and they have been even yesterday, while this orb is pretty tight, and so yeah, that's just, it's a major thing. And then you can see this little back here, this little semi-square from the moon to the Sun. Same thing there. The moon is the mood of the people. The moon rules the public, and it'll be out in the public as to what's going on. So I think that Sunday is going to be a big news day politically, and it might just be that way because it's a catch-up day for people that have worked so hard all week long they didn't have the time, and maybe when they got home they just really wanted to have some fun and couldn't take in all those details. I totally understand, and I also, my hat goes off to, I don't wear hats, I hate them, but can't stand anything on my head. But my hat goes off to all these newscasters who are trying to keep up with all these facts. So you can also see another inconjunct here from the Sun up to Pluto. So again, people in power are going to need to make adjustments because we see them. They're being exposed. For us, this is really good to make adjustments to our own power coming from our own integrity. The best way to bring the light through of Pluto and Capricorn at this very ripe degree is to be in your integrity and to stand in your integrity no matter what. So there's that. Okay, so let's see. Does that bring in? Yeah, and we have another aspect of the architect because this sextile here from source energy, but also possible delusion with Neptune here, is sextile Pluto. So again, we're seeing like who are the political people and who are the judges, who are law enforcement, who are whatever, who's in a position of power, could even be in a workplace situation, and who's pulling the wool over our eyes, who's not being clear here, and hasn't been for years, and now finally it's all being exposed because it's all pointing down here to the Sun. So we've got this double whammy of the truth coming out, which is the reason why I say, boy, if you've been a dirty politician, well, I mean, let's just like look at everything that's out about Rudy Giuliani. I mean, we knew all that stuff. It's not news to us, but it's out there now for anyone, and they're putting it out there in a good way so that people can understand. Anyway, of course, I don't know if that's true if you're watching Fox News. We also have two inconjuncts here, quincunx inconjuncts, 150-degree aspects, coming from, like I was saying, just the facts, ma'am, and look how close Mercury is coming to Mars. So Mercury, messages, Mars, movement, so the movement of getting more details, and then Mercury's going to retrograde, and so that's going to be good, actually. And it'll be nice when Mars moves into Libra because that'll help balance things out and it'll help bring in even more justice. But with these two inconjuncts over here too, Eris in the North Node in this tight orb, my goodness. So adjustments that need to be made in their direction if you're a dirty politician or anyone out of integrity, they're going to need to be making adjustments in order to literally survive, right? Motivational adjustments, movement adjustments as to movement, and I bet they're not sleeping well on another level too. That this is like, wow. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at now for today to tune in. To the Sun here, to the sextile to the South Node. Spoke about that quite a bit already with, shining the spotlight as to the past. And this would be, so personally, this can be really good for creative endeavors. Always remember that Venus rules Taurus and Libra. And many, many artists of all types are very Venusian or have prominent placements in Libra and Taurus. A lot of famous singers and people who speak, speeches, orators of any type are ruled by either, but predominantly Taurus. But I've never known a Libra that couldn't sing well, or a Taurus, honestly. So this aspect of the architect is coming from the Sun. The point down here is the Sun. So the Sun in that really creative, beautiful, heart-opening Leo energy of your self-expression and who you truly are shining out. This is really, really good for this weekend to have this aspect here and to help move you forward in the direction that you want to go. Let's see. And then Venus, you can see Venus here is retrograde, of course. Let's see, how far does she? I think she goes back to 12 degrees. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah, 12 degrees. She's retrograde until September 3rd. And we have a square here. See how she's at 16, so she's cooking back this way. And Jupiter is right here holding space at 15. Now Jupiter's a slower moving planet, so it's the stronger planet. And the square here has everything to do with reassessing the way you spend money, what you're going to spend money on. Jupiter in Taurus wants to just have it and have it all. But Venus retrograde in Leo, hold on 1 second, is she's going, oh, but wait, how much does it really cost when you add up everything, when you go through the, like if it's a mortgage you're shopping for or any high dollar item, boy, you want to check things out. And it might be, here's a perfect example. I willy-nilly bought one of these styluses and didn't realize that it was just, it wasn't an Apple. I was bagging on Apple last week because of where the on and off thing. This one was only $20 and the on and off is up here. You just like hold it and it'll go. See how the little blue light lit up? This is only $20. The other one I sent back was like $60. But that's because I just bought the first one that I noticed was compatible with my tablet. And this one is really awesome because you put it you put it up here and it magnetically grabs it and charges it like right from the tablet. So if anybody wants to know what this one is, email me and I'll send you the link. I just found it on Amazon. But that was me in Venus retrograde, not looking at the facts, right? And just buying something. So good thing I could return it. Okay, what else? Let's see. That square is taken care of. This aspect of the architect that's really strong is taken care of. Okay, only other thing I see left to look at besides the moon, but first I want to talk just briefly about this grand Earth trine. So again, you can see it doesn't involve Jupiter, it involves Uranus and mostly Mars because Mercury's going to go retrograde, but she's, he's still there. They're both still there. Bringing in the details, bringing in more divine order into your life, helping you to make plans. It might be a little challenging when it comes to getting enough sleep because the mind can be super busy when Mercury is in Virgo. And to have Mars there energizing the mind, oh goodness. Yeah, especially around the new and the full moons. I know that the new moon zapped me because it was right on my natal Pluto. And usually it's usually a full moon that will get me. Boy, this new moon got me. I couldn't go to sleep until midnight. So thank goodness for naps. Naps are like survival when that happens. If you're in a schedule, if you're undergoing a type of, a certain time in your life when you're in a schedule where you can't nap, make sure you get to bed. I have found that if you can get to bed start getting yourself in that mode to go to sleep when the sun is going down, there's this natural circadian rhythm in your body that will, go with it. But if you start the nighttime when it's dark, getting into all your stuff that you do at home. Now, granted, there are some people who are night owls. And I hope they get to sleep in late in the morning because I think that's it. And I also know other people who are fine with like 4 hours of sleep, 4 or 5, 6 hours of sleep. My firefighter son is that way. And it's like their bodies were made to do that type of work. So, but if you're like me and you need at least 6, try to go to bed earlier while we're having transits like this because if you stay up too late, you can catch that second wave, and there you go, you're gone, and oh darn, turn around like me, it's midnight. Anyway, there's so much work energy with this grand Earth trine here, but it's grounded energy to where you can really get a lot done. And I think that's part of what feeds it, is that, okay, I got this done. Now what else? Now what? Now what? And I totally get it because, like I said, there's all that motivation with Mars, and things are finally coming through and coming together. And Mercury is getting ready to go retrograde, so we do want to, have things done. But not to worry, because when Mercury goes retrograde, it's just more of an internal thinking process, and it does or I think it does help to slow the mind down. But that's me. I'm born with Mercury retrograde, like a third of the people on the planet. Many of you are too. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it's actually an easier time. Although I do notice that I might not mispronounce words and say the wrong things as much when Mercury's retrograde, but I am still more easily misunderstood. And I think that's because everyone else with Mercury direct is having a hard time. Sometimes, because you can leave out a word, or they don't hear the word, or miss a word, and it changes the meaning of a whole sentence. Can completely change the meaning, I should say. Okay, so now let's go to the moon here. You can see the moon starting out at 12 degrees, at 12 degrees Libra, opposing first Chiron. Let me scooch forward hour by hour and see how long it takes to get us to an exact opposition. 1670 might even be, it's still Sunday, but it's Sunday night, 6 p.m. So 12 hours. 18, let's do one more hour. Okay, well, no, it's not a full hour. Well, let's just leave it at that. By 8 p.m., the moon is close enough to the south node to be conjunct, and you can see that we have a definite opposition here to Chiron. There's some healing work that can be done in relationship. It might just be relationship with yourself, but it will shift relationships in the world, because in your world, because remember that everything's an inside job first, and that the outer world mirrors the inner work that we do first. And tapping into your deeper gifts, especially if you're someone who's born with Chiron and Aries in that generation, the moon in Libra, there might be some confrontation that comes through in relationship, but if you can hold the gentle space of, loving confrontation, you can have a really wonderful breakthrough. And then with the south node in Libra, the moon working in that direction, that's really, really helpful. So let me go ahead and go to the next. So I need to go to the 21st here. There we go. So Monday, 5 a.m., you can see the moon is really tight with the south node there, just 2 degrees away. But it's also bringing in the opposition to Eris. So there's more conflict there, right? The moon in Libra wants peace at any price if you're not tuned into who you truly are, and if you're afraid. So if you're coming from a place of, if anyone out there has any little bits, and we're human, so we're always working through something. But if you're in any way afraid of your healthy self-assertion, and you're worried about being valuable or perfect, and I'm speaking now to Mars and Mercury together in Virgo, I'm bringing in this combo here, okay? So the message I'm getting is that if you're working through issues around feeling self-worth, having value to others, needing to be safe, which brings in the Taurus energy here too, or to fit in any way in order to receive love, admiration, or approval, there's going to be some work here. If that's anything that comes up, and it might come up through dream time, because we do have Mars opposing beautiful Neptune here. And one of the ways that we can heal is by tuning into what came through in dream time. A lot of times I tend to put myself in the position of each person in the dream just to see if there's anything there. That helps me a little bit sometimes. But you can see this tight orb of this yod here going up to Neptune. So we're wanting to work through delusions, but we're also wanting to tap into our... Neptune is higher self energy, it's source energy. And in Pisces, it helps us to remember that it's unlimited. There are no limits to our potential. Even if we're handicapped in one way, it helps us grow in another. You know, you find that all the time. People who have maybe lost sight, their hearing is heightened, and the other way around. So, you know, your gifts will come. They'll come through if you keep working them. They'll come through no matter what. So let's see what else for Monday. Besides, I mean, you can see besides this opposition here, which can truly work out to be a big, courageous breakthrough, with Eris at the other end here holding space for, the power to go for what you want without being worried about being held back by a relationship, if that's a dynamic that you're working through. There's some intuitive energy that can help you there. Your intuitive energy will help you. It will be heightened. But you can also see that there's a square up to Pluto because the moon now is in this T-square with Pluto to the nodes. So that brings in even more energy with relationships and power dynamics. So I always feel like, you know what? Unless it's a little kid that I'm in charge of or, protecting, I don't have control over anyone else, right? I mean, you can try to keep somebody from stepping off the curb too soon when a car's coming around the corner. You can do all kinds of things to protect. But when it comes to the way someone's going to feel about something or has been feeling about something, or what's going to happen in their lives, we all have our own path to receive certain experiences. So a lot of times it's good to have just a hands-off approach where you love them no matter whatever they're going through. But the main deal with this dynamic going on here, with this big old T-square and the moon that is now involved, it is all about just controlling yourself, right? We can let go of enabling others. We can let go of worrying about others, especially with all this Virgo energy. We can let go about worrying if the hands of justice will come through, the scales of justice, I should say, and do its course. But, like we have here with Mars in Virgo and with Mars ruling this stellium over here, the North Node, we're all headed in that direction of fighting for equality, fighting for justice. And with that, as long as it's nonviolent, that will create balance. But if we're going to sit back with Neptune retrograde here in Pisces and Saturn retrograde in Pisces, if we're going to sit back and be the victim and throw our hands up and pessimistically embrace life as if, oh, nothing's ever going to change because it hasn't before and it's always been dark, or we've always had, this corruption is just awful and blah, blah, blah. Well, the corruption was always there. That's why we incarnated on Earth. We incarnate a fragment of who we truly are, and we get to work on our darkness. Now, it's an equal opportunity planet, so we can't control anyone else's path and what they have to experience in order to get where they need to go. For instance, someone may need to experience humiliation in order to grow. Someone may need to learn lessons around how bullying doesn't work. Someone may be coming from a toddler wounding and and that takes a lot of work to heal that, but you can't make a person heal. We facilitate, we don't heal. They heal themselves. So all of that is on this, the signature here with the transits is just, it blows my mind. I mean, anybody that didn't believe in astrology after looking at these charts would seriously rethink, if they'd been studying astrology for a while and then wanted to give it up. I would think at this point they would pick it up again. Oh, okay, so let's see. You can see the moon is, the sun is still it's at 28 degrees, so it's still in this nice trine over here to the north node. It's moving out of orb of Eris, but there's still a lot of fiery energy here going on to bring through that feminine courage that won't take no for an answer when it comes to equality. And Venus with that square to Jupiter is exact. Look at that. So again, we're still in that dynamic of, and it's, Venus is going to go back all the way to 12, and then she'll go direct, and we'll get it again. So this Venus square Jupiter, that need to be careful with, expensive purchases like cars or homes or, things like that. We definitely want to check things out before we sign the dotted line, because some things like, this little stylus pen can't be returned. I mean, this can, but, a big home or car, nah, that's not going to work. And getting your money back out of it might not work either very well. But, we live and learn. Boy, I sure have. So we have the sun opposing Saturn here. The best way we can use this energy is to focus on our creativity. And now with the sun moving into Virgo soon, this will be really beautiful. It'll just automatically flow. All of our creative energy will automatically flow into something that's even more useful and more rewarding for us. And with Saturn here on the other side, Saturn in Pisces is super creative. Saturn in Pisces has everything to do with establishing and deepening your spiritual practice. It can be meditation. It can be anything that you're working to create. And even if it's just having fun, it can literally be finger painting, and you don't make anything other than what somebody else might say a mess, but I would see it as beautiful. And boundaries too. There might be a confrontation with boundaries. So on the negative side of this, if there is a bully or someone who's controlling, coming at you, or someone who's narcissistic, it might be that, most people aren't like some of these people are, a malignant narcissist or a born psychopath. Most people I'd say a lot of people can have a little bit of narcissism, and they're working through it, and they're becoming aware that, oh, I wasn't tuned into you when we were talking. I was just so into me, and I had to be right, and I had to tell you what I thought, and I had to tell you now, and came at you with all this energy. I'm speaking here to like the downside of the sun in Leo, just this force of energy coming at you, and then you're over here going, whoa. So this dynamic can bring through boundary issues right here. Now, you don't want to get in a fight with somebody like that, but you would have to state, hold on, wait, or goodness, let me get away from this person. I'm not sure what the dynamic is or how long you've been dealing with it, but it will come to a head. It's been coming to a head, and it's working that. I mean, when the sun moves into Virgo, every day that ticks by, that comes up, every sunrise that comes up, it's going to get stronger and stronger, and we will have an exact opposition when the sun is at 4 degrees Virgo. So let's go ahead and move forward. I need to get to the 22nd. Here we are. So Venus retrograde is right here, and that square to Jupiter, you can see, is exact. So that is coming to a head this morning. The sun is the same aspects, and you can see the oppositions here. So everything that I gave voice to before is still applicable. But you can see that Mars is moving forward pretty quickly. That we've got 5 degrees exactly of separation here between Mercury and Mars. So Mercury's getting ready to station, just sit still for a bit, and then it'll go retrograde. But the main thing for now is let's look at this moon. Let's look at the Scorpio moon that has crossed over the south node and picked up all this energy, all this wisdom of the past, and we're learning lessons in how to better relate to each other. And now with the moon in Scorpio, we have this beautiful trine up to Saturn. So there's depth when the moon's in Scorpio. There's transformational energy that's possible if you use it. There's intimacy issues that could come up. There are trust issues that could come up. There are secrets that could come out. There's crisis that can come out or come through. But there, to me, the spiritual meaning of crisis is that we needed something to come to a head. And then when it's up and out, now we can really work with it. So I don't really see it as, I don't judge it as a negative thing. I look at it as a beautiful problem to work with. So, but now when the moon's in Scorpio, though, sometimes we have a fear of betrayal coming up, and some people will avoid all of that and betray themselves and just they won't go deep. And, there is that very real possibility for some, especially with Saturn in this semi-square here to Chiron, because there's fear in there. Now, if you're a dirty politician, this is going to be a real bad day for you, I think. Because secrets are coming out, the moon exposes, the public will be, whoa, seeing it. And then with this connection over here to government, people in governmental positions, with Saturn, well, there you go. Let's see. And you can see, we still have one leg here of the, so Neptune in conjunct quincunx, that south node. That's there for some time. I think, December, through December, this one. This Neptune sextiling Pluto, that is also through October, so this leg will drop off sooner. But anyway, Neptune sextile Pluto is more power on your spiritual path, but also more opportunities for the dirty politicians to try and pull the wool over people's eyes, and then we are just going to see who believes them and who doesn't, eventually. The power of your vote. Pluto trining exactly, well, not exactly, I'm sorry. Pluto it's in a close enough trine. Well, remember the grand Earth trine? Mars is moving towards an exact trine to Pluto. Uranus is still sitting there. It moves much, much more slowly. Goodness, it takes like 7 years to get through one house, even with Uranus. But anyway, we still have this grand Earth trine, you can see, and I venture to guess it lasts through the week. I don't know that I calculated how long it lasts. Mercury will get out of orb pretty soon because we've already got 7 degrees of separation here. But Mars moves pretty quickly. So I'm sure pretty sure it'll be in orb all week. And again, this is the week to really get some things done, but also to get good sleep. Do your best to get that good sleep. Let's see. The sun is still in this inconjunct to Pluto, so again, narcissistic people will have to be adjusting because those powers that be are much more stronger than they are when it comes to the laws and the rules and regulations of society. Let's see. With the moon, we do have an opposition here. Now, it's an approaching opposition, so it's stronger. So this Scorpio moon opposing Jupiter, so Jupiter's at 15, so every hour that clocks by, let's see how many hours we have of this going forward. So to 15, how long will that take? Might take us all the way into Wednesday. 12, that's pretty darn close. There we go. 10 p.m., yeah. So all day and into the night, this could be intense, especially when it comes to issues around wanting to, goodness, I hope nobody gets in a fight with a spouse over how they spend their money. I hope no one out there has to go through someone finding out that their spouse or loved partner, beloved, has cheated on them. But these are the dynamics with the moon, Scorpio moon opposing Jupiter. We're talking with Taurus, we're talking money and safety and self-preservation and bliss and the things that are beautiful. It could be a really, really beautiful day for many of you out there, and in the evening it gets even better. But it could also be quite the opposite too, because Scorpio can be betrayal and crisis. So I see reversals of fortune for some dirty politicians out there, especially as the moon clocks by. So let me go ahead and go to the 23rd, the first thing that comes up. I have two charts for this day. You can see the moon's at 17, and it's getting ready to oppose Uranus. So as the hours go by, again, if you haven't been clean with your finances and you're a dirty corporate executive or politician, these things are coming up, and reversals of fortune are definitely imminent. For the rest of us, we can have some very intuitive opportunities, those aha moments. And you can see the sun has moved into Virgo now. So Virgo is all about creating divine order. It doesn't like chaos. It likes to make plans. The only problem we can have with Virgo is if we're going to put too much perfectionism on our heads, in our brains. If we are having any health issues, it can be a good time to understand what's going on. If we're afraid of being alone, it's a good time to work on that. And if we go through those feelings of loneliness and feel them deeply, we come through the other side with having ourselves completely, and then you're never alone. So the dark side of Virgo has to do with not letting go of needing to be perfect, feeling not valued, feeling not useful, feeling unuseful, feeling unvalued and unuseful. And most of all, that fear of just falling into chaos where nothing works and nothing matters, and all of that is a big trap. So the way to work with that is to bring yourself back to the present moment. And with Saturn over here, there is that groundedness where you can ground yourself in your spirit via your breath in your body. And Jupiter is here holding space for that, and that Scorpio moon is holding space for that as well. That deep transformation can come through We don't have a grand cross going on here, but we have two oppositions. And this moon is square Venus. So again, body, heart, deep transformation, breath work, coming into the present moment with your letting your higher self and your spirit guide you. If you set up a meditation with those intentions, you can heal anything. You can at least you can establish a strong foundation and then keep working it every day. And it is always bringing it back to the present moment. So that's, I think that's good for this chart. Let me go forward because we have, oh, my pen went off. Come on, there we go. Well, maybe it's just not going to work. So 23rd, there's another one. Oh, here it is, right here. Mercury goes retrograde. Okay, so you see the sun's still at 0 degrees, but Mercury is at 21 degrees Virgo, stationing retrograde, and the aspects to Mercury is the only thing I'm going to focus in on because everything else you can see has been building, over the week. So here we are Wednesday, 1 p.m. exactly Pacific time, so that'd be 4 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. if you're in the Atlantic time zone. But Mercury here, still in that grand, Earth trine, but is going to go backwards. Well, it's not really. It just seems like it's backwards. It's the relationship between Earth. Mercury doesn't really move backwards. It's that our Earth is rotating in a different, the tilt is a little different, and so the degrees go backwards. Anyway, so we're starting out at 21 degrees here, and it's going to retrograde all the way back to 8 degrees by September 15th. So, we have these next few weeks to go deeper into our creative projects, or any health issue that we're trying to work through. And we do have, because you can see Mercury's at 21, and Jupiter over here is at 15. So we will be working back to this beautiful trine to Jupiter. The only downside to this is that Jupiter expands things. With Taurus, it has to do with money, it has to do with our finances, our personal finances, and the things that we personally own. And with Mercury retrograde, we're going to want to be careful. So between the Venus retrograde squaring Jupiter and the Mercury retrograde trining Jupiter, building, back, right now it's like a 6-degree orb, but it's going to get tighter and tighter. Because again, it's going back to 8, and then when it goes direct, it'll hit that same point. So we're going to get it's a little working on being careful with our finances. And I don't mean that because when Mercury's retrograde, you still have to buy things, you still have to do things, you still have to most likely write things up, sign contracts, or have agreements for a lot of people. But just read the fine print, which is what we should be doing always anyway, and all this Virgo energy will be teaching more and more how important that is. So you can see the sun will keep moving forward, just about a degree a day, and within this Mercury retrogradation, we will of course have the sun conjunct Mercury. Things will come to a head for the dirty politicians. Mercury's a messenger. We're dealing with news, documents, transactions, all those things. And also because Taurus, Mercury, and Capricorn are of the physical realm, we can expect indictments, we can expect information, even more information about the details of those indictments and who are involved and what's going on and all of that. So this Mercury retrograde, I think, will be good for justice being delivered, but it won't feel that way if you're, like I said, these people who have abused their power, abused their positions of power. It will not go well for them, no matter who you are. Let's see. So holding space for this Mercury retrograde, you can see we have the moon sextiling Mercury. And that was building up even before Mercury became stationed retrograde. And with the trine, so we have an aspect of the architect here with the trine to Neptune. So this is really wonderful energy for tracking a pattern. If you have been wondering why you keep, spinning your wheels or having trouble in certain areas, maybe you're tracking a pattern of a vicious circle in your life. And if that's the case, there can be a breakthrough that happens during this Mercury retrogradation period because we have the moon in Scorpio that wants to transform, setting the stage here. Even though the moon will move, but this is the beginning of the Mercury retrogradation process. So again, go to your higher self and ask for guidance. First of all, you want to figure out what the false belief is, and then try and figure out why you have that false belief and where it came from. And then, so the false belief might be something like, if I embrace happiness as being 100% possible in my life, I will be disappointed. How about turning it around? And if you don't have a forcing current around needing to be happy 100% of the time, because, we are on Earth and it is dualistic, we can be happy and sad, right? We can be all different. We can feel so many different things, and there's nothing wrong with that. We can be bawling our eyes out, our heart out one moment, and 10 minutes later be, oh, I feel better, right? It's no big deal. It's human. So that is the stage for working on ourselves. It's also a good stage with Mercury retrograde this time for communicating in detail as to whomever you're speaking to or whatever you're working on. This is really good for writers. This can be a wonderful time for healing health issues, getting deep into all the little daily things that you do, no matter how small they are. If you work on empowering yourself in your natural, loving, giving, spontaneous, real self, and you try trusting your instinctual, real love, those are things that help build a healthy ego that learns to work with your human self and trust your higher self, right? It's that bridge between the realms. And then eventually, most of what you do in life will be coming from the pleasure of expressing your inner being. So it's all here. If you want to just make sure every day to have some fun, allow your creativity to come through, take really, really good care of your body. That's the important task here with the Virgo and the Taurus energy. And then from there you are building more power in your place in the world, in the way that you participate with the world. So, okay, that's it for that one. Now let's go to, something's not right here. Come on. There. Maybe I have to poke it harder. It's always like that. 24th. Okay, here we go. I tend to be that way on my phone too. It's like, oh dang, I have to really poke it. It's not enough to just touch something. You gotta poke it. Probably because I have these glass over it, to protect it. But anywho, squirrel. Today, 4 a.m., we have the Sagittarius moon up here, squaring. It's in a T-square. So now we do have the Pluto squaring the nodes. Now we have an extra little square here for a while, squaring Saturn and the Sun. So what does that mean? The moon in Sag, so remember the moon is our planet for intuiting something. It's our planet for, well, it rules the public, so something could come out about politics because politics is under the realm of Sagittarius. But it's movement oriented. The moon and Sag are both intuitive, but movement oriented. And with all that energy there's going to be a need to connect to something that nurtures your well-being. And that's especially true because the sun is squaring over here in Virgo. So again, health, well-being, the daily details of life, all the plans that need to be made. And then with the square to the moon, if you're tuned in already, you'll just, there's some tension field, but you'll go in the right direction. And then the other square is over to Saturn, and the moon is connecting closer to Saturn as it moves forward. But of course, like I was saying, with that sun opposition Saturn, the sun's over here shining the light, the moon's up here shining the light. These are both luminaries. And with Saturn over here in Pisces, there's some testing as to what do you really believe in? Are you in victim mentality, feeling like the world's against you? And who are you blaming for your certain, set of circumstances? And how can you transcend that? How can you heal that? How can you not blame yourself, not judge yourself harshly, not blame the others, unless maybe it's one of those things where you need to make them accountable, and maybe there's a lawsuit that needs to happen, or if you can't afford that, then you're going to need to let it go and forgive yourself and forgive them eventually when you're ready. Doesn't mean you have to forget. Forgiveness doesn't mean about forgetting. It just means that someone showed up to bring you a lesson, and no matter how painful it was, they helped you work through some pain. Now, if it's something awful like a car accident or something like that, and you're left with the repercussions for the rest of your life, it makes it even harder. I just can't imagine. And those things do happen out there. So, because life is messy. But in those cases, it might be that there's still some healing that comes through, and I never could say what that is. But it is this setup here to intuitively respond to the limitations of life in a way that maybe you can make new plans, and coming into acceptance is always helpful. Acceptance is a Virgo trait, and then Pisces is a forgiveness trait, and Sag helps us intuitively go in the right direction. So let's go ahead and wait. Hold on. It's a sesquisquare. I don't feel like talking about that. Let's go forward. So let's see. We need to go to the 25th, right here. So Mars. So for Friday, Mars is trining Pluto. The moon's up here as Sag in a nice fire trine going on. That's really cool. I didn't notice that before. I was focused into Mars and the trine to Pluto. So notice how Mars is at 28 degrees Virgo, so earthly Virgo, and Pluto's up here at 28 degrees earthly Capricorn. So again, work projects that can really unfold in a beautiful way. Also, it could be that something comes through politically because the moon's still in Sag, right? And there's a trine to Venus, which is money oriented. Venus retrograde in Leo won't be good for bullies. And look how we have almost an exact, well, it's gone beyond because Venus has worked its way back to 14 very quickly. She's moving, man. and squaring Jupiter. So again, the bullying energy, to the grabby, greedy energy is being seen politically up here, is what I'm getting. Wow. And as the moon moves forward, it's going to be an exact trine to Chiron in Aries. You know, Chiron in Aries can be a lot like, especially retrograde, can be a lot like for us going, hey, don't we matter? Aren't we the taxpayers? What? You know what I mean? Do we want to fund all these court cases for this dirtbag that never should have gotten in the first place? Right? Okay. So, yeah, trining trining Venus over here. I really feel, because this is an exact fire trine. I really feel like something's going to come through on the news, because the moon rules the public and news. Mercury retrograde in Virgo is going to continue to just bring it all out. It might be another indictment day for all we know. Wait, or it could be, it might be, I'm not sure, but it might be the day that people have to show up for the Georgia grand jury in Fulton County. Fingerprinted, what is it? Booked, fingerprints. I've never gone through it, so but I hear fingerprints, mugshot, all that. And the whole process, I was hearing, could take up to 12 hours. Yeah. I vaguely remember, I think it is the 25th, but if it's wrong, it's still, we're working up to it. It's coming. If it's not already happened the day before, it'll be the day after. We're within that range, but I think it is the 25th. I should have checked ahead of time, but I was just focused in on the astrology. You know how that goes. So let's see. Chiron, yeah, I think we're still good there. With this inconjunct from Mercury retrograde making its way back into an exact, this inconjunct's already this 150-degree aspect. It's already a tight orb, but it's getting tighter and tighter. So again, when it comes to healing, this is wonderful. This is an aspirational aspect to really get inside of whatever those false beliefs are, and turn them around. Like if the false belief is I'm not good enough, then you say I'm more than good enough. And who needs to be good anyway? Right? If it's the old Mike Myers and Dana Carvey when they did Wayne's World, I'm not worthy, with Madonna. Yeah, you can make a joke out of it. Try to make some kind of a joke out of it for yourself, or sing yourself a song that turns it all around, like you're more than worthy. Or if it's like I don't matter, well, that was mine. Turn it around. I turned it around by going, oh wait, I have hands. I'm in a body. I'm in matter, so I must matter, right? Other false beliefs that are of the deepest wounding, but also when you work it through, can bring in your deepest gifts, your greater gifts, and they can teach you so much about life. Others are crazy things like, it's usually like I'm not good enough. Some people have had that I've worked with was like I'm too much, and they felt they always had to shrink, tone down their power, like a fear of managing their own power. So anyway, whatever it is, you want to flip it around and make a unitive statement of truth. Right? Like for me, it was I'm here, so I matter. For other people, it might be I'm more than enough. I'm more than adequate. I'm good enough. Things like that. Worthy. It's always a self-worth issue. But I can never say exactly what it is for a person, and I never would put that on them. But to help them tease it out usually when I start asking a few questions, they're like, oh, I know what that one is. And then you just say it. It's like, okay, now we know what we're working with. I love it. It's the most fabulous work anyone can do. So, okay, let's see. Anything else with the moon in Sag up there? Well, the Mars trining Pluto. I didn't talk about that. Mars trining Pluto has to do so much with the power of divine order in that very ripe degree of Virgo. The power of divine order, power here, divine order here. The details and the facts that matter, and they create tangible experiences that a person is going to physically, have to go through. Such as Rudy Giuliani literally has, I think it's either 26, 27, or 28 degrees Capricorn on his south node. So a south node in a natal chart has to do with a person's past lives. So obviously he has abused his power in past lives, and it is finally coming up in this one. Because wherever Pluto lands in our charts, it's not a every lifetime transit. A lot of them, it's once in a lifetime, because it takes 243 to 248 years to get around the zodiac. So wherever Pluto lands in our natal chart is very karmic, extremely karmic. So to have that degree. So he's literally, sorry, should have said this from the get-go. Rudy Giuliani is having Pluto cross over his south node, or it's been sitting on his south node. No wonder he's been quiet. So, okay, let's go forward to Saturday. All right, darn it. Use my fingers. Okay, 24th, so, yeah, it's this one right here. Okay, so I do that, I might as well use a chopstick. The moon is squaring Neptune and squaring Mars. So that's the thing on the table for today, the major aspect. The moon is at 5 a.m. Pacific, the moon is at 29 degrees Sag, and that's that anaretic degree. So there's a heightened, very powerful, intuitive focus, or people going apeshit crazy with something happening politically. Okay, interesting. Maybe there's an incredible amount of talking and analyzing, because with Mars here at 20, Mars is at the anaretic degree of Virgo again. So it's an intense focus on the details, and the public is talking about it, and people have their opinions, and they're going to either go in the right direction or not. And I say that because the square to Neptune, they're either going to believe the cult leaders or not. And my my feeling on this is that it's good for us when we're working in the light, but we also have to hold the space of love for people who are finding their way, and that can be really challenging. You don't want to go into hateful energy towards them, because it doesn't help. It just doesn't help. It's harmful to all parties when we do that. So sending them lots of love and knowing that they'll find their way at some point. Maybe their attachment is coming from hatred, but maybe that hatred is because they've gone through tremendous pain that they haven't been able to access yet. And again, back to that self-responsibility. So I'll say this before I close up. The moon opposing Saturn is exact. What am I saying? The sun opposing Saturn is exact. And the moon is, notice how it's still in this trine up here to the sun. So, and we still have a grand trine, but it's, we've got that. Well, there's a lot going on here. We've got a fire trine from the moon to this Aries stellium that even was cooking before 5 a.m. Pacific. on Saturday. What has happened here is that the moon is getting in such a tight orb over here to the sun that we have both ends of the trine, but we have fire and earth energy. And then from the sun, we have this fire and earth here, fire here. So it's not compatible. You know, fire and air is compatible, but fire and earth is frustrating because earth will be the limit. You know, I mean, yeah, that's the thing is the limiting structure up here is Pluto in Capricorn. So power dynamics are on the table. And trines don't always mean harmony. They can oftentimes just be contact points. It'll be harmonious for some people because, you know, you're working within spiritual law, the laws of love. But if you're not, and you're vindictive or vengeful, or just politically driven in an intense, you know, the 29-degree moon in Sag can be the extremist type of, you know, forcing current, like the right way, you know, my way or the highway, I'm the right way, only you have to follow me kind of stuff. And that's not what life is about. So, an abusive leadership, but some leader with their pants down, right? The emperor has no clothes type of thing is what I'm seeing here. Because Venus is still squaring Jupiter, Venus retrograde, the money issues are coming out for everyone to see where the money's gone, maybe even who's footed the bills, who's paying what, that type of thing. Yeah. Because there's a lot of room for deception here. The details are out, but they might not want to hear it because they know their own way, kind of thing. So okay, that's the deal. The moon is also in a sextile to the south node, so it will involve relationships because the south node's in Libra. It will also involve justice. Yeah. The moon is also in the aspect of the architect here, and it's at the pivot point. So whatever is not in alignment with justice and equality and fairness will be on display today. No matter, you know, who you are, you're going to witness it somewhere, or it's going to come up within. And so allow yourself to feel those intensities, but also allow yourself to go in the right, set the intention to go into the direction that's right for you, and that will be your leading edge. Because this dynamic here, this we always have to remember, you know, for this time being, until January 11th, 2025, we are going to have the nodes in Aries and Libra. So the leading edge is over here in the North Node in Aries. So this is action and movement. It's ruled by Mars. So actions and movements that are healthy for you, that lead you on your life path, and you have the power and the courage of Eris along with you. We could say she's even more powerful than Pluto because she takes her time. You know, 558 years to get around the zodiac? Yeah. And she's leading the way, and justice is coming. You know, justice is following. Those dynamics will be they'll be our leading edge of life, whether we like it or not, you know, over this next couple of years. So, or year and a half. So it's about what to take action on and what's worth fighting for, and then what needs balancing and equality and fairness, especially in your relationships. And again, you know, Venus rules the south node here, and Mars rules the north node. So, yeah. Okay, so I think that's it. I think I'll close up. I could probably talk for another half hour and a bunch of other aspects, but nothing that is as strong as these exact aspects. So I'll be back next week and send you tons of love ahead of time. Take good care. Bye.